We understand there's some things that I thought we did pretty well, and there's some things that we need to improve on as we move forward. We had our opportunities to score, and obviously when you do that, you build confidence, but we didn't get it done. So, again, I can tell what we need to get done, and we'll get it done.
So welcome everybody to the first episode of the Cleveland Browns Dog Pound Report. Today we've got some big things to cover as it is the Week 9 bye week. Week 10 against the Lions will be coming next week, so make sure you're on the lookout for that. However, let's go ahead and jump straight into probably one of the biggest questions I think on every Browns fan's mind, and I think that is who's going to be the starting quarterback going into Week 10 against the Detroit Lions? Is it going to be Cody Kessler? Is it going to be Deshaun Kaiser? We saw Kaiser throw 3 interceptions and have an awful game. He had a 32 pass completion percentage, and he's had about a 43 pass completion percentage on the season. And we saw Cody Kessler show a lot of potential, completing all 3 of his passes and getting a touchdown at the very end to actually make things extremely competitive against the Vikings. However, this is what Coach Hugh Jackson had to say on the situation.
I know what everybody's concerned about, that I got this quick hook, Listen, I think Deshaun gets it. Again, I'm very honest with Deshaun. This is a performance-based business, and there's some things that at the quarterback position are kind of non-negotiable for me. And he knows turning the ball over is something that we can't.
So we do have an answer on what's going to happen in Week 10 against the Lions, and that is that essentially Deshaun Kaiser is going to start at least the first 2 quarters. Depending on how he looks, if he looks average, then they're going to pull him and they're going to put in Kessler. If he looks like he's having a really good game and that he found his groove, they're going to keep him in, and they'll even pull him as early as the first half and even first quarter if he just plays like absolute garbage to start off. I think that's a smart decision. Obviously, you don't want to keep him in if he has 2 interceptions and no touchdowns already going into the half, and he's completed, 2 of 16 passes, for example, which I don't think is even possible for Kaiser to do, no matter if he's a Browns quarterback or not. So really, it's just up to chance. Obviously, with Kevin Hogan going down in Week 6 against in Week 7, against the Titans, that was definitely a big blow to this Browns offense. Is now we're back to asking the big question, who's going to start at quarterback? Some good news for Browns fans, as second-year wide receiver Corey Coleman will be back from his broken hand that he got back in Week 2. Originally, he was supposed to be out till Week 11, but he came off the IR. He's fully recovered, so he will be coming back in Week 10. So that's, I think, one of the big factors that played into Kaiser getting the starting job again, is obviously that he's going to have his favorite target, Corey Coleman. So if he can't really perform with Corey Coleman and Josh Gordon, I think that's going to be the final straw for the Browns, and I think that will be the big debate whether they should just go ahead and start Kessler until Kevin Hogan is back, and then he will obviously be getting the starting job. But another thing I wanted to talk about is who's going to start at the slot receiver position. Well, the Browns answered that question for me as Rashard Higgins will be making the start at the slot over Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju Smith-Schuster being picked up off of free agency after the Steelers cut him, being signed to the practice squad, and then when Ricardo Lewis got injured, Juju Smith-Schuster was brought up and Ricardo Lewis was sent down, and Schuster, he had a good little run. However, Rashard Higgins, he's played in the offense a lot more, and so I think that's really the thing that gives him the start over Juju Smith-Schuster. So now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about, where the Browns are heading with their rookies so far this season, who I think has done good, who I think has done bad. So let's start out with the big name, Deshaun Kaiser. I think he's been okay. He's probably been below my expectations. On the games where he does good, he does essentially very average for a quarterback. Even slightly below average is like a good day for him. However, tight end David Njoku, apart from a couple drops in the end zone, I've seen a great future tight end. If we saw how Gary Barnidge, when he had his tenure with the Cleveland Browns, I think that David Njoku can be better. I think that he might be as good as Jordan Cameron was when he used to be with the Browns. Obviously now he retired due to a lot of injuries. And then when we look at safety Jabril Peppers, I think he's been good. Obviously he's one of the top 5 players on the Browns with tackles. He's been good. He just hasn't been getting into the highlight reels as much, but definitely his impact is felt on the defense. The defense being ranked 13th, so So the defense definitely playing pretty well. I think it's the offense that just hasn't been picking up. Obviously, when there's not even an answer at quarterback, I think that can be a big problem. Myles Garrett also has been amazing, 13 and a half sacks so far. And think about it, he's only been here since week 5 against the Jets. So I think that his impact is definitely being felt there. Whether or not the Browns are winning games, he's probably one of the biggest reasons why the Browns have a 13th ranked defense, especially because before he came back, they were hovering around 25 to 28. So definitely his impact is being felt. Another really good rookie is Larry Ogunjobi. He's definitely been a big standout. He was drafted in the 3rd round to the Cleveland Browns. And Travion Conley also had a big impact. He is the 2nd string right end behind Garrett. So definitely those are a lot of impact players that the Browns have. But now let's get into some signatures. Signature that the Browns are trying to make is Isaiah Crowell. Obviously, he's the big running back. However, he said he wants to be paid like Devontae Freeman, and we all know how good Devontae Freeman is, and we all know where Isaiah Crowell is. I mean, he's good. He's, top 10 in rushing yards, even with his injury that's put him out for almost 2 weeks. However, he hasn't been getting into the end zone, which you obviously can't control that. That's been just the play calling not being there for him to get into the end zone. But I don't know if I can really see that. Duke Johnson and Kenyon Drake have been a lethal combo for the Browns in Isaiah Crowell's absence. Obviously, Duke Johnson maybe didn't have the best game against the Vikings. However, I sincerely doubt that Crowell would have done any better. But another big guy is Josh Gordon, the wide receiver. I think that he'll probably get a contract offered. If not by the time contract negotiations and re-signing ends, he'll probably even get signed throughout the season sometime. Obviously, already 400 yards on the season, being a big impact player with 4 touchdowns already. And think about it, he's only been back since week 6 whenever the Browns took on the Texans. So I definitely see a lot of potential, maybe even returning to, I don't know if I want to say 1,000 yards, especially now with Corey Coleman coming back. But, we'll definitely see a number of things. And then the next guy is probably the biggest name out of all of them, and that is Kevin Hogan. I know I said Isaiah Crowell was a big name, but let's all be honest here. Kevin Hogan is, I think, the biggest name because obviously he was very good before he went down with that dislocated elbow. Gonna be out until week 13. However, he can return as early as week 11 against the Jaguars. So, I don't know, do you guys think the Browns should re-sign him? I don't know, I think the Browns should. He showed a lot of potential, but obviously I feel like it's a very small sample size, so we'll see if he gets back in action in week 11. Hopefully he's able to return, but if not, he'll be out till week 13, and then that'll be a big issue. But also two key players, but not two key players that are still out there for negotiation are Rashard Higgins and Kasen Williams. I expect them both to be signed to small contracts, just because Rashard Higgins has been good. He's been a slot receiver for a long time, and Kasen Williams had a great stretch, especially against the Jets. He was the only reason why the Browns were anywhere near in that game. However, that'll be all for this episode of the Dog Pound Report. Hopefully you all enjoy. Stay tuned, as next time the Browns will be taking on the Detroit Lions, who are 3-5, and the Browns 4-4, trying to fight to at least make the wild card round in the playoffs. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and have a good night, everybody.